and welcome to today's episode of Design with Pam. Today we're going to be designing this dashboard that shows a user's card, quick links like portfolio, their top up, amount that has been locked, their bills payment and others. Then we also see the section where we show users other products to buy. This card section here where you have want limitless transactions, make a request for this card. This like an offer for users. So we're going to dive into the design, the UI design of all this basically. So let's get right into it. Like always, the first thing we're going to do is to select our frame. We're going to hit F on our keyboard, activate this frame section, and then choose iPhone 13 mini. So I am going to name this, let's say dashboard. I'm naming my card to my frame to be dashboard. So the next thing, the first thing we're going to do is I'm going to take this frame here and put here. The next thing I'm going to do is to create this my frame section where I have my title page. So I'm going to go and take a frame and I'm going to drag it all here, but I want my frame to be a size 42. Okay, so I make sure I align it properly. The next thing I'm going to do is to click T on my keyboard and type cards. This is the title of my page, so I'm going to chuck it into the frame here, but I'm going to try to make sure that it's aligned in the middle. So I'm coming to this alignment section and I'm going to click on the align horizontal centers, and I also click align vertical centers. So my card here, because the title page, I want it to be prominent, right? I'm going to use a font size of up to, let's give it an 18. And I'm going to increase it to be heavy. All right, so you can get this icon here, this back icon here. Get it from hero icons, from plugins. Just right click on your mouse, go to plugins and find this plugin hero icon, or you can go to Iconify to find this icon. If you don't have it saved already, go to manage plugins and then type hero icons or Iconify. All right, so the next thing is this section here. I have a video where I created cards in Figma. So all you have to do is I'm going to put the link in this video, right? You can just watch it, then you're able to create card, design it as beautiful as this, and then send it to me on my Instagram at Pamela the Designer. This is me. Send it to me at Pamela the Designer and I can make reviews for you. So let's get back to the task at hand. Okay, we're in the so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to copy it and paste it here. So I clicked on it, I clicked Ctrl C, Command C on my keyboard, and I selected the other frame and I'm going to click Command V. So it's pasted exactly where this one was, right? So you don't need to start struggling on adjusting it. So the next thing is to create this section here. What I'm going to do is to hit T on my keyboard and I'm going to type new card. I type new card, I'm going to go ahead and reduce the font. I want the font to be, let's say, a 14, right? Then I am going to click select it and then hit Shift A on my keyboard to add an auto layout. Adding an auto layout gives us the ability to add a fill to the text. It's more like it has created a frame and the text is within this frame. So I want to round the corners here of the frame. Don't worry, when I add a fill color that will be visible, you understand what we're doing. So I'm going to I'm going to round the corners here with just 8. Then I am going to add a fill color. So let's use this fill color here. All right, so you can see I feel the card is not giving the shape I want, so I'm going to work on the horizontal padding and the vertical padding. So for the horizontal padding here, that's padding around the side, I want to stretch it a bit. I want it to be a 32. Then the vertical padding here, I just want it to be an 8. Well, I'm going to reduce it a bit more. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and reduce this font, this text here. So I'm holding on to my command or control button and I'm clicking on the text to select just the text, and I'll go ahead and reduce the font. So I'm also going to change the color to a white. So the next thing now is that I want to choose an icon that shows add new card. So which icon did we? Just like this, just like we have here. Okay, so that icon, I actually got it from Hero Icons, but I think we can also find it here. Yes, it has pasted it. So we need this icon. We also need this icon that shows block card. So I'm going to type block. Right, so what we're going to find an icon that is of the same style. Right, you can see this one that we have here, this add icon here, it doesn't have a fill. So imagine I go to take another icon here that is, let's say this one is not of the same style, right? The corners here have more fill than this one, right? Or I choose this one is like filled. So I'm going to choose something same style with what we have here. So I'm going to paste it here because we're going to use it. So the next thing I'm going to do, I want to reduce this whole thing to, I'm going to click on K on my keyboard, which is to scale, to activate the scale feature, and I'm going to drag down. However, I can still come here, this section here. I want to reduce the width and the height proportionately. So I'm going to click on constraint proportion and I'm going to reduce it to, let's say, a 16. I'm going to drag it and bring it into this frame that I have here. Now you can see it has also increased the size, right? I'm going to go back and click on V on my keyboard to go back to my move tool. Move tool allows us to move things around and work on Figma, right? And it also activates this other design section here. So what we're going to do is, you see the spacing between this text here and this icon here. I want to reduce it. I don't want the space to be as much as that. So I'm going to reduce it to a 4. And also I want this icon here to look as if it's the same size with new card. It's looking as if it's way bigger than my text. So I'm going to hold on to command and select just this, the icon here. What I'm going to do is I'm going to further reduce it. Let's reduce it to a 12. So I need to select the frame itself. So I'm going to reduce it to a 12. Perfect. So I'll also go ahead and select the color and change the color to white. Right. So what I'm going to do again is I'm going to duplicate this. And then I'm going to copy this one, this vector here. I'm going to click on Command X because I'm cutting it out. And I'm going to make sure I select this frame, this icon here, and I'm going to click on my right click on my mouse and I'm going to go to paste to replace. Then I'm going to go to constraint proportion here while still selecting the icon that I just replaced, and I'm going to click on constraint proportion so that I can adjust the width and the height together. So I'm going to reduce it up to 12 and I'm going to go ahead and change the color to white. Now I am going to create an auto layout and then center it, but we don't want to, you know, just like I've been explaining in my other tutorials. Now this two card can both have fill color, right? We need a color, we need the one that has the fill color. We need the one that has this fill color and the one that appears to be like a ghost color, so it's not dragging attention with what we're trying to tell clients. So we're working in a financial industry, right? And what would you prefer that users what action would you prefer that users carry out most? Is this to block their card or to add new card, right? Think about that. So it is actually definitely to add new card. So we're going to make this one a ghost button. So I'm going to go ahead for the stroke. I'm just going to add a stroke to it here and I'm going to close out the fill color. select what we have in the middle here by holding on to my control or command key, and I'm going to go and change the color down to black. But I don't like using black, you know that. So this is the color I use most times. So I'm going to do the same for this one, change it to the color that I use. Right, so what do you think? Do you think so this spacing between here, let's make it A12. So let's center it still. Now I think we are good, we're getting there. So if you also think if you also want to reduce, let's say, the size of this thing, then you can come to the horizontal padding and maybe reduce it to 24. Right, yeah, I think it's good. Great. So the next thing we are going to do is to drag this line here, this line in the middle. However, remember, as I always say, always put your layout grid on, right? So let's go ahead and put our layout grid on. Okay, so between this one and the second one, I'm going to select this first one and hold on to my shift key and select the second one, and make sure that the spacing between them, let's give it a 24. I don't want it to be too far, right? Then I'm going to click L on my keyboard to activate the L tool, holding on to shift, and I'm going to drag it down. I'm going to go ahead and select this color here, take my color picker, and I'm going to select the color that we used here. So what I did was I just zoomed in. So just with your mouse, hold on to Control or Command and then zoom in with your mouse. Right, so between this, so I'm going to select this one and select and hold on to Shift and select the other one. Then I'm going to give the spacing to be an 18, not too far, right? Then I'm going to click on T on my keyboard and I'm going to type quick links. I think the spacing between the line and this to be 24 is great. Okay, so the font's 12 is okay, and I'm going to leave it at heavy. However, I'm going to change the color. I'm going to change the color to this. This is the color I'm going to use now. Yeah, we can also use the color for all the black sections that we have here, honestly, because this whole black thing, it's not given. I think we're good. All right, so how did we create the section here? All right, so but I'm going to make the size of this to be let's give it a 42, same as the other side. Right, so I changed the color to a white. However, I added some effects. So I clicked on this plus sign, added a drop shadow, but this is my preset. This is the settings that I used. For this x-axis, I gave it a 1.46. Then for this y section, I gave it a 0.76. Don't worry, it's not like I knew. I played around it for a bit, right, to get exactly what I wanted at that point. So my blur effect, I gave it a 14.64. So you can just play around it and find something that works. But for the color, this is the color that I use, 1E, 1E, 1E. Right, and I left it as 25% opacity. Right, so the next thing again is to create click on O again and drag a shape just a little bit, chuck it in here. So we're going to try to reduce it. While I'm reducing it, so it's either I click on K to scale it, or I hold on to Shift and then I drag it. So I'm going to zoom in so you see what I'm doing. Dot that you see here, just hold on to your mouse and drag it just to open it a bit. Then come to the middle here and then drag this one. So once you're done, go ahead and get this other end here and hold on to Command while you pull it together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead to change the color. So don't make it a practice to be using different colors when you're making a design. It's always good to have like white spacings and a lot of white background and stuff. The reason you're seeing these colors are like on the whole application itself. The idea is to use these colors to depict these certain actions, like where you have your portfolio, maybe you get a touch of purple. Where you have top up, it depicts like this other color that I've chosen, right? So, and you can see apart from all of that, the design also has a lot of white spacing. So I see a lot of design that has so many colors. Some even can make the background to be green and all of that. Trust me, real-time users are not into so much into aesthetics, right? They want user experience, they want the best experience, then they want an application that actually works. Your back end, your front end, they have to be doing great job on the application. And so when you're designing, my own method of designing, okay, and I advise you adopt same method, is make use of a lot of white spaces so that it will not be all choked up to a user. A user don't want to be confused or be thinking so many things before they perform a transaction on your account. All right, so that being said, let's get back to our design. All right, another thing I noticed is I think we overextended this whole, the spacing is too small. Okay, I think we're good. So I'm going to go and get, what you're going to do is, right, you need to find an icon that suggests that particular action. So for portfolio, I found just like a tiny box, but you can find a better icon that shows portfolio. Top up, I use this icon that shows, oh, you're bringing something in. For locked, I use this $sign to show that you locked out your money. Then for bill, I just showed that your money is actually leaving. Then more, this icon here suggests that you can click on it and then you get more options. All right, so I'm going to just, this icon, you can get any of this icon from Hero Icon, or you can get it from Hero Icon or Iconify, so you can then work with it. So as long as I keep saying, you can send me your designs on my Instagram. You can send me your designs on my Instagram. This is me. My name is Pamela and my Instagram handle is Pamela Designer, same with my YouTube. Subscribe to my channel if you have benefited so far from my teachings, my series, which is Design with Pam. You can also share this video, for there's so many people out there who would like to have this, who would like to learn UI UX design. And another thing is, you can go through all my tutorials and then use it to form like a portfolio of UI designs for yourself. That will also help. All right, so let's get back to what we're doing. Right, so what I'm going to do is that I'm going to select all of this. I'm only dragging my mouse like this, just holding on to the left side of my mouse, and I'm then dragging to select everything. Then I'm going to group it. All right, this is okay. I'm going to hit T on my keyboard and I'm going to type portfolio. I use colors, text sizes, text font, weight, and all of that to portray message and importance. You know, I've already used black up here. It's so visible, right? I also use some shade of black here. All right, so I also use some shade of black here and it's visible, but I don't want it to be competing with another thing, right? So I'm going to use a different color here. I also want it to be on its own class of importance. Yes, it's important, right? So I'm leaving it at 12, font 12, and I'm also leaving it at heavy because it's also important, because I want you to notice the portfolio text here. So I'm going to click on the portfolio, hold on to shift, select the other one and create an auto layout. Then the spacing between them, I would like to give it an 8.6. well, then I'm going to click on it, hold on to my option or alt button, and I'm going to drag out just to duplicate. Then I'm going to create an auto layout by hitting shift A, and I'm going to select the first one, hold on to command, select this frame, here, or double click into it and select the first frame, then click on Command C or Control C to copy, then and Control V to paste. All right, so what we have here is 1 2 3 4 5. So we have 5 things going on here, but I'm going to add a spacing of, let's say, 24. Yes, I think this is great. So what I'm going to leave you is with a bit of an assignment, right? So far so good. This is what we have. But I will implore you to go ahead and find the right icons here and change the text to top up, logged, build more. You could choose a different icon, but explain why you chose a different icon. And you can also find the small icon. Remember, you can use the plugins here by right clicking and going to plugins and finding this set of plugins. You can use Iconify, you can use hero icons, and you find perfect icons that suit your design. Right, so I'm going to select this one and then select our quick links and then create an auto layout between them, and I'm going to make the spacing to be a 12 is great. Then I'm going to ensure that the spacing between this one is still within what I like. Okay, so this is great. 24 is great. All right, so the next thing I'm going to use, just duplicate this line here. You already know how to copy something or drag it down by holding on to your Option or Alt key and then dragging down. All right, so I'm going to make sure that the spacing too is, let's say, 24. No, I gave it a 14. This is 24. Okay, seems good. Then I'm going to copy this one, just duplicate this one and write my text here just for you. You know, we like to massage our customers' ego. Just tell them this is for you. We customize this product just for you, you know. So the spacing between the line and this text, I'm going to leave it at 18 is good. Let's make it 16. 16 is okay. So for this card here, what I did was, for my keyboard to activate the frame, and I just dragged the frame here. So I'm going to put by my grid line so I'll be sure where I want my frame to be. Art. All right, so I'm going to go to the corner radius and I'm going to increase it to a 12. Let's add a few colors so that we can see what we're doing first. Well, let's give it an effect first. I'm going to go to this effect, click on the plus sign and come here and set the setting. For the X side, I'm making it a -2. For the Y, I'm leaving it at -2, and for the blur, I'm giving it as much as a 20. But the color here should be 8B, 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 and I'm still leaving it at 20% opacity. Let's go back and change the color to white. So now our card is a bit prominent. But sometimes, this is me, I hardly use like others effects on cards. If I'm going to use an effect, it has to be very minimal, extremely minimal, because I don't want any distraction for users. The point of designing is to ensure that users perform certain transactions, right? Perform certain actions and not get distracted. So I'm going to try to increase this a bit. So I'm going to click on T and type want limitless. So I'm going to increase this to a 20, and I'm going to try to reduce the line height here, just so for this section here, for this one, I'm going to reduce it a bit. Then I'm leaving the line letter spacing the way it is. Let's reduce it a bit. Right, so let's use the color that we've been using since. Right, so I'm going to copy out the text that I have here, click on T on my keyboard and draw a tiny a tiny text box here, and I'm going to chuck in my text here. Let me just increase it for a bit, but let's reduce this font. Let's increase it a bit. It's okay. Alright, so I'm going to select this one, and I'm going to select the other one, create an auto layer by hitting Shift A, and I'm going to give the spacing up to a 12. Right, so for my make a request, I'll hit T, and then that's my call to action. I'm going to hit T, and I'm going to click on Shift A, and I'm going to round the corners to, let's say, 12. I'm going to add the fill color. This is the color that I'm using here. Right, then I'm going to go to the horizontal padding. I'm going to increase it to a 16, but for the vertical padding, I'm going to make it a 6. However, let's reduce the corner radius to an 8. Then I'm going to hold on to my command or control button, and I'm going to go back and increase this font to be, let's say, a medium. Then I'm going to also change it to white. Now let's increase it to a heavy or black. Now let's leave it at heavy. Right, so I'm going to select the first frame and also select the call to action button, and add an auto layout. The spacing between is 16. I think I feel good about it. I'm going to try to see the spacing that we have between the top and the bottom, but I can just align it by clicking on vertical alignment. Then by the side we have a spacing of 14. Let's make it 16. Right, so you can learn how to make this card. I created this exact card in one of my videos. You can just learn how I created this card here and do the same. All right, thank you very much. I'm going to create an auto layout for this too, leave it at 14, and this is what we have created. So if you found this video helpful, please subscribe to my YouTube channel. You can follow me on Instagram, TikTok, Twitter. My name is Pamela the Designer, and thank you so much, and see you next design class.